Hello everyone, Luke here and welcome back to the channel. So I'm actually quite unhappy with the DIY scooter that I've made, so I'm deciding to redo it. And there's a couple of reasons why I've decided to redo it, and that is, one, my skill level has obviously improved since I started doing this project. And two, I just don't quite like the design that I chose to do. So that's the reason why I've decided to do it again. So let's take a look at the bike that I'm going to be using. So this is the bike that we're going to be using, and I really like the look of this, especially the front forks which have suspension on it, and that is going to look really nice. So I'm going to get this on the table and I'm going to strip it down. So I've stripped the bike down to its absolute bare bones and it looks absolutely beautiful, and I'm super excited to get on with it, especially using this frame. I'm still unsure what I want it to look like just yet, but what I'm going to do is take the handlebars out, lay it flat and just basically draw around it so I can get an understanding of what bits I want and what bits I don't want. So here's my drawing. It's a 1:1 scale and it should help me work everything out. So here's an example. This is actually a support which goes right here. And here are my wheels marked out. I've got to cut a few more bits out, but once I've done that, I'll get back to you. So I've laid out all the parts, and the only reason I've done this is so it makes it easier to visualise what it's going to look like when it's actually done. So I've got a bit of welding to do, and the first piece to weld is this bit right here. So I'm going to go off and do that now. So I've welded the main headpiece together, and this weld is incredibly strong. This is not going to fail at any point, and I'm pretty proud of that. So what I've done is I've added a little bit of body filler to make sure this whole piece looks like one thing, and it's actually done the job really nicely. So what I've done next is I've welded together the main back brackets to hold the wheel, and I've done the same thing. I've added a little bit of body filler so it looks like one whole piece. So let's take a closer look at that. I think that looks absolutely awesome. So now I've actually got the main head unit done and the rear mounts for the wheel completed. We've actually got through the tricky part, believe it or not. So now what I've got to think about is how I'm going to connect these two pieces together. And I'm thinking about doing something similar to what I did with my old scooter, with using some angled steel and just building something nice, lightweight and welding it together. I've also got another cool idea for when that's done, and I'm deciding to reuse a footplate off the mower that we're currently working on. And that is absolutely perfect, and that's why I decided to use it. So now I'm going to go off and ponder how I want the base plate to look like. And once I've come up with some suitable solution to that, I'll come back and update you guys. So how we decided to make this base plate is actually really simple. So what we're going to do is make 4 cuts to the front end, which is right here, here, here and here. Which means once this is cut out, it's just going to slide over the head unit perfectly. And for the back end, it's also really simple. We're going to make 1 cut diagonally right here. And then with the back arm, we're going to make this cut here and here, which means I can whack this flat just like this front piece right here. And then we're going to weld it all together. So I've done all my cuts and I've cleaned up all my metal, and this is what the frame's going to look like when it's all welded together. And I think that looks absolutely beautiful. I'm really liking the look of this. So let's take a look at the parts individually. So these are the parts that we haven't quite had a look at yet, and this is what's going to make up the base plate. As you can see, it's quite a simple H-frame, but with a little twist to it, which is going to make sense right now. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so right here, as you can see, on this, it's been cut at an angle like so. And that is also cut at an angle, these back arms that hold the wheel in place. So all that happens is I line that up, line it up here again, and that sits together and gets welded, which raises this back end just enough that the wheel's going to touch the floor and give it a nice amount of ground clearance. And that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do is weld this all together, and I'll show you what it looks like once I'm done. So this is the frame completely welded together, and I have to say it is truly something of beauty. And there's something else I should mention. It's incredibly strong. So all we got to do is put some finish on this, clean up the footplate, attach it, and we're pretty much done. Right, so I finished prettying up the frame and I decided to go with the colour scheme blue and red. So let's take a closer look at that. Isn't that just lovely? So with that now finished, we are getting really close to the end of this project. And there's only a few things that I have to do. One of which is to attach the footplate, which I spent the time refurbing. And that's what it looks like. So all I did is I coated it with a new lick of paint. And I've added the non-slip mat with just some contact adhesive. And that made it look really nice. And the last thing on the list is to obviously extend the handlebars. And I've already done that by doing the same technique as I did last time. Which means I chopped this angle off, right here, slid a slightly bigger tube over the top, and welded them together. And to attach these, it's actually really simple. So I got a long M8 bolt like this. I just screwed it into the little angle which pulls the forks and the handlebars together. So what happens is that slides in, that gets pushed all the way to the top, and then a washer and a cap nut will go over that to put it all nice and tight. Right, so I'm going to put this together and I'm going to show you what it looks like once I'm done. So I thought I might as well chuck my scooter up onto the table so we can get a nice good look before I bolt in that foot plate. So let me get out of the way. Isn't that just lovely? So I'm really liking this colour scheme and I think it almost reminds me of like Superman, which is pretty cool. So what I've got to do is obviously bolt this in, and once we've done that we can go have a little bit of a ride around. So I'll see you guys once I've done that. Okay, so now this footplate has been bolted down, I decided to do a nice traditional back brake for the scooter, just so I have some way of slowing down. Right, so now what we're going to do is take this out for a little ride, and then we'll do a close-up, because now the project is basically finished. So I've brought my scooter out into the car park, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way to the other side of the car park down there, which is probably about, I don't know, maybe 50 metres away. I'm going to try and pick up as much speed as I can, and I'm going to use the back brake to see how much stopping power it actually has. Right, so let's do that. Wowzers, that's actually not bad at all. So that was an absolute dream to ride, and I think this is absolutely beautiful, and it's definitely something that I'm proud of. I feel like this definitely deserves a close-up before we finish the video. How lovely is that? So that brings me to the end of the video, and I'm really happy that I decided to remake this scooter, just because I wasn't happy with my last one. So, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them all. Anyway guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later.